Hello everyone, this is my first video, so I hope you can forgive me if I'm quiet or shy. I'll be making many videos like this for all of the metro stations in Melbourne and possibly even the V-Line stations around Victoria, so without further ado, let's begin. Starting with the platforms. Southern Cross has 16 of them, but some have a Section B for Burke Street, and Platform 8 even has a Section S for South, but also for Seymour, because Seymour line trains commonly run from there. Platforms are numbered east to west, with platforms 1 and 2 in the east and platforms 15 and 16 in the west. All of the platforms with B sides are platforms 2 through 8 and platforms 15 through 16. Southern Cross facilitates 14 metro lines, being all of them except for the Sandringham line, which runs through Flinders Street. It is also used for the Flemington Racecourse line, which is only for special events, such as the Melbourne Show or when the races are on. But Southern Cross is also where the Overland to Adelaide and XPT to Sydney trains depart from. It is also a major hub for V-Line services, with another 12 lines originating and terminating here. Next is the departure platforms. V-Line trains depart from platforms 1 through 8 and 15 and 16, whilst Metropolitan services depart from 9 through 14 unless the Flemington Racecourse line is running, in which it's 8 through 14. Interstate trains also depart from platforms 1 and 2. The Albury line only departs from platforms 1 and 2. The same cannot be said for the Seymour, Shepparton, Geelong, Warrnambool, Ballarat, Ararat, Maryborough, Bendigo, Echuca, and Swan Hill lines, which instead can depart from any of the 10 platforms which support V-Line trains. This, however, is unlike the Bairnsdale and Traralgon lines, which can only depart from platforms 15 and 16. When in use, the Flemington Racecourse lines depart from platforms 8, 13, or 14. The Mernda and Hurstbridge lines use platform 9 and run via the City Loop. The Alamein, Belgrave, Glen Waverley, and Lilydale lines use platform 10 and can run via Flinders Street or the City Loop. Good lord. Platform 11 contains the Craigieburn, Sunbury, and Artfield lines, which run via the City Loop and Flinders Street, whilst Platform 12 has Pakenham and Cranbourne lines, which run exclusively through Flinders Street. Werribee and Williamstown lines can use either Platform 13 or 14 and go through Flinders Street as well. And now it's time for the frequencies, which I'll try to go through quickly, but I doubt I'll actually be quick. The Albury line gets 3 daily services in each direction between Southern Cross and Albury. The Seymour line gets 26 to 68 minus 1 minute frequencies only on weekdays during peak times, but 60 to 147 minute frequencies on weekends and off peak, sometimes also relying on Shepparton line trains. Speaking of, let's actually talk about the Shepparton line frequency. Well, technically the Tocumwell line, but I digress, as the line is freight only past Shepparton, and it sees 5 daily return services on weekdays and 3 on weekends. The Geelong line sees 20-minute frequencies on weekdays and 40-minute frequencies on weekends, whilst the Warrnambool line sees 5 express services on weekdays, 3 on weekends, and an extra local service on the weekend as well. The Ballarat line is a long story. It sees 20-minute frequencies, but only out to Melton, and only on weekdays. 40-minute frequencies out to Wendouree. Extra services to Southern Cross originate at Bacchus Marsh during the weekday morning peak, and hourly weekend services between Southern Cross and Wendouree occur. The Ararat line receives 4 weekday return services and 2 weekend ones. The same cannot be said about the Maryborough line, which gets 2 return services per day. The Bendigo line sees 12 to 43-minute frequencies on weekday peaks, 60-minute frequencies off-peak and also on weekends. However, on weekends, some services are provided by Echuca line trains. Speaking of Echuca, it sees 3 services on weekdays and 2 on weekends in both directions. The Swan Hill line sees 2 daily return services, and the Bairnsdale line sees 3 daily return services, whilst the Traralgon line gets hourly frequency. As I expected, that was not quick, and we still have the metro lines to go over, as well as the 2 interstate services. If you're still watching, I appreciate you greatly. And anyways, it's time to continue. And also, for the purpose of my sanity being already destroyed enough for me to not care, I'm also including the Flemington Racecourse line in this part. The Mundell line gets 3 to 20-minute frequencies on weekday peaks, 20-minute frequencies weekdays off-peak, as well as weekends during the day, 30 minutes on nights, and 60 minutes during early weekend mornings. There are double frequencies between Flinders Street and Clifton Hill in conjunction with the Hurstbridge line, and some services only run to Reservoir, Epping, or South Morang. The Hurstbridge line sees 5 to 20-minute frequencies on weekday peaks, 20 minutes weekdays off-peak as well as weekends during the day, 30 minutes during nights, 60 minutes during early weekday mornings. There are double frequencies between Flinders Street and Clifton Hill in combination with the Mundell line, and some services only run to Heidelberg, McLeod, Greensborough, or Eltham. The Lilydale line gets 6 to 20-minute frequencies on weekday peaks, 30-minute frequencies on weekdays off peaks, with weekends during the day having 20-minute frequencies, 30-minute frequencies at night, and 60-minute frequencies during early weekend mornings. There are double frequencies between Flinders Street and Ringwood in conjunction with the Belgrave line, and some extra services run to either Ringwood or Blackburn on weekdays. Speaking of the Belgrave line, it gets 15 to 30-minute frequencies on weekday peaks, 30-minute frequencies weekdays off-peak, with weekends during the day having 20-minute frequencies, 30 minutes at night, and 60-minute frequencies during early weekend mornings. There are double frequencies between Flinders Street and Ringwood in combination with the Lilydale line, and some extra services run to either Ringwood or Blackburn on weekdays. The Alamein line sees 15 to 30-minute frequencies on weekday peaks, 15-minute frequencies on off-peak weekdays, with weekends during the day having 20-minute frequencies, and 30-minute frequencies at night, and 60-minute frequencies during early weekend mornings. Most weekday peak services operate through to the city, however shuttles and to and from Camberwell operate at all other times. The Glen Waverley line sees 7 to 15-minute frequencies on weekday peaks, 10 to 15 minutes weekdays off-peak, with weekends during the day having 20-minute frequencies, 30 minutes at night, 60 minutes during the early weekend mornings, and occasional services run from Richmond to Darling and Richmond to Kooyong to Gardiner to Holmesglen to Sidnell or Glen Waverley. The Craigieburn line sees 5 to 20-minute frequencies on weekday peaks, 20 minutes weekdays off-peak, with weekends during the day having 20-minute frequencies, 30 minutes at night, and 60 minutes during early weekend mornings. The Upfield line gets 15 to 20-minute frequencies on weekday peaks, 20 minutes weekdays off-peak, with weekends, oh my god, again, weekends during the day having 20-minute frequencies. It's 30 minutes at night and 60 minutes during early weekend mornings. The Sunbury line sees 5 to 20-minute frequencies on weekday peaks, 20 minutes weekdays off-peak, with weekends during the day having 20-minute frequencies, 30 minutes at night, and 60 minutes during early weekend mornings. The Flemington Racecourse line gets 4 to 60-minute frequencies during special events only. The Pakenham line gets 5 to 10-minute frequencies on weekday peaks, 20-minute frequencies weekdays off-peak and weekends during the day, 20 to 30 minutes at night, and 60 minutes during early weekend mornings. There are double frequencies during the day between Flinders Street and Dandenong in combination with the Cranbourne line, which gets 10 to 16-minute frequencies on weekday peaks, 20 minutes weekdays off-peak and weekends during the day, 30 minutes at weekend nights, 60 minutes during early weekend mornings, and there are double frequencies during the day between Flinders Street and Dandenong in combination with the Pakenham line. Also, there is shuttle-only operation at night between Dandenong and Cranbourne. The Frankston line gets 5 to 10-minute frequencies on weekday peaks, 10 minutes weekdays off-peak and weekends during the day, 20 minutes at nights and weekend mornings, and 60 minutes during early weekend mornings. Certain trains continue or originate at Werribee or Williamstown. The Werribee line gets 20-minute frequencies on weekdays to Laverton via Altona, 4 to 15-minute weekday peaks to Werribee Direct, and weekdays off-peak get 20-minute frequencies also to Werribee Direct, 20-minute nightly frequencies and weekends to Werribee via Altona, and 60-minute frequencies to early weekend mornings to Werribee also via Altona. Extra daytime frequency between Flinders Street and Newport in combination with the Williamstown line. Certain trains continue or originate at Frankston. The Williamstown line gets 20-minute frequencies on weekdays during peak times, and weekdays off peak as well as weekend afternoons get 20-minute frequencies. There are 20 to 30-minute frequencies at night and weekend mornings, and 60-minute frequencies during the early weekend mornings. Triple daytime frequency between Flinders Street and Newport in combination with the Werribee line. There is shuttle-only operation at night time and night network between Newport and Williamstown. Most trains continue or originate at Frankston. Now it's time for the interstate trains. The Sydney XPT trains have 2 services per day in each direction, making 4 total services per day, 2 morning services and 2 overnight services. However, the Overland to Adelaide sees 2 services each week per direction. So from Southern Cross to Adelaide, there are services on Mondays and Fridays, and from Adelaide to Southern Cross, there are services on Sundays and Thursdays. Finally, we're done with that. Oh my god. My script is now over 1,600 words, so I'd appreciate if you could please push through to the end, as it helps to push my videos out to others. Now to the surrounding area of Southern Cross Station. Being in Melbourne's central business district, Southern Cross has a lot around it. Marvel Stadium, also known as Docklands Stadium, is just 500 metres from the station. The Spencer Street Outlet Shopping Centre is right near the station, and there are plenty of food options around and in the station, with the Queen Victoria Market being close by. Southern Cross Station opened as Spencer Street Station in 1859, 5 years after Flinders Street Station, and it composed of a single platform. And it wasn't until 1874, 15 years after the station opened, that it got a second platform. Spencer Street and Flinders Station weren't connected by rail until 1879, when a single-track line opened to freight-only traffic at night time. In the 1880s, passenger services were considered for the station, and the station was expanded and platform layouts changed by 1894 for suburban services. Also, in 1891, further plans were made for a significant new station complex, including a 3-story office complex and large clock tower. The 1890s depression put an end to this, however. By 1924, today's platforms 11 through 14 were opened, as well as a pedestrian subway providing access to them. In the 1960s, work started on the new Spencer Street Station as a part of the interstate line to Sydney in New South Wales. A station building was constructed, as well as a new 413 metre platform 1. And in the 2000s, the station was developed and was also renamed to Southern Cross in late 2005. The station was completed in 2006. In 2024, air quality data showed that nitrogen dioxide levels had exceeded the World Health Organization's limit by over 90 times. The future of Southern Cross includes the Sunbury, Pakenham and Cranbourne lines running through the metro tunnel instead of the city loop, meaning they won't pass through Southern Cross Station. This will happen in early 2026. The Frankston line will take the Pakenham and Cranbourne line's place in platform 12, and by mid-2026, the Werribee and Williamstown lines will rerun with the Sandringham line. Now for some fun facts. The station itself costed $700 million, and it is also 23 meters tall and covers 60,000 square meters. 3 bus routes operate via the station, being the 232, 235, and 237, as well as 9 tram routes being the 11, 48, 109, and 12 from Collins Street, the 35, 70, and 75 from Harbour Esplanade, and the 86 and 96 from Burke Street. There is also a coach terminal at the station, which is the origin of several coach routes which go to places in Victoria not served by rail. There are also Skybus services to Melbourne and Avalon airports. The station is open from 4:30 a.m. to 1 a.m. each day. Well, you've made it to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed and are maybe considering subscribing and liking the video to see more content like this in the future. I'd also like to apologize for any mistakes or stuff I've missed, and feedback is well appreciated. Goodbye.